Hey guys, Jag here from Jag Aquatics and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I will be sharing with you all the making of the scape that I was able to create as part of the Australian National Aquascaping Comp that was held in Melbourne. And in this video, I will be sharing you the complete footage, how it was put together, starting from a blank tank or a blank piece of canvas and creating a beautiful scape at the end. Before we jump into the footage, I really want to thank all my friends, hobby friends, shops, businesses, and my family members who stood next to me for those 2 days and really supported me for this competition. And because of you all, I was able to win this comp second time. And in 2022, the first one happened in 2020. And it was really an honor this time because there were three international judges and the competition was really great. And overall, Australian aquascaping scene is winning, and there is a lot more talent that we can see part of the aquascaping or part of Australian aquascaping scene. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video and see how I put this scape together. And what you see here is I have put a bit of a white background at the back of the tank just because there was too much reflection, and what I'm using here is dark black cereal rocks, and also I will be using dark Indonesian wood. So all this was provided to us by the Oz Aquarium distributors, who were one of the major sponsors of this event. And here you can see I'm trying to create a left side of the tree. So this will be a forest kind of scape where I will be creating a lot of tree trunks coming inside the water, and it will have root system. So that's the main concept of the idea that I wanted to create. And also what I want to do is to show a great depth going all the way deep inside the woods. And for that, what I will do is I will raise the height at the back of the tank, and that you will see once the scape is progressed to about half the length of the video. You will see that how the height start building up, and you can easily see the height that I'm creating. And also while doing that, I am moving toward horizontally towards right side to create more trunks so they are visible, and at the same time I'm reducing the width of those trunks to make sure that they look like they are far in the distance. So you can see here I'm adding the second tree on the left, and I'm choosing the size of the tree foot as small, but what I will do, I will join two or three of them, but make sure that the width of the complete second trump should be less than the first one. And at the same time, you can see that I'm raising the background using different layers of black cereal rocks. So I basically want flat rocks keep rising up, and why I'm using this is mainly to create different shadows, which will also give more detail in the landscape area. So you can see the left side of the rock structure is pretty much done, and you can see how the rocks are all climbing up and vanishing at one point. And in a similar way, I will do on the right side. So you can see how the both side will look, and eventually I will start putting the uh, tree stumps on top of the rocks to create that forest look, and also to create the final vanish point. You can see here that pretty much the whole layout is coming to final shape. The left side is nicely done where I have biggest bit of driftwood in the front, and then it slowly decreases in the width, and at the end I'm using a very thin piece of driftwood to give the impression of a very distant look, and also everything moves to the right also. Now the valley that is being created in the middle, I will fill that up with the soil eventually. So you will see at some point I will start filling it up with the soil, and on the right side I'm doing the same thing, creating few trees which will all converge to that main vanish point or the focal point. So here basically I'm trying to add more and more detail while using these thinner pieces of the driftwood, creating more root system for all the trees coming down. And you can see that, again, the roots are a little bit bigger as they are in the front, and they decrease in size as they go back. So a lot of small detail has been added, and that's why at the end the result looks really nice. And I know it's a time consuming thing, but that's what scaping is about. You have to be patient, you have to slowly create the detail, and sometimes the final results come really nice, and sometimes it can happen that whatever you are thinking you're not able to produce, but that's okay, because that's what I learned in this hobby, that every time what you imagine you're not able to create in that tank, but that all comes with practice, and I'm still learning, and I hope to keep learning and keep creating something nice. So now we are pretty much ready with most of the hardscape. But what I will do next is I will be adding some white sand to create that nice path that meanders all the way and disappears in the woods at the back. So that's what you will see next happen in the footage. So you can use any kind of decoration sand. So here we are provided Dimex decoration sand, and that's what I used. I just sprinkled it all over the middle valley area that I created, and after that I did use a glue to stick certain sections, because it can happen that when we add the water, the soil comes down, and I don't want that to happen, because I don't have a time to refill it. So because it's being a comb, I made sure by gluing all those parts so this soil stays as it is. And this is a very neat trick I learned from a fellow aquascapers who was on my right side, and he showed me. He had this nice bottle cutout, which I'm using to pour the sand into very small areas where I need it to be. So here I'm just adding that sand in the front and the back, and flattening it up with a flattener before adding very small piece of rocks as a detail in the front and sides. So scape is pretty much ready. I'm just adding crushed black cereal rocks, and you can see that is being added to create detail around the larger cereal rocks. And again, I'm gluing those small pieces so they don't move when we add the water. And I will do the same on the left side, like you can see. Everywhere I'm adding those small crushed rocks. You can crush it with a hammer very easily, or also there are some suppliers who do supply already crushed or small cereal rocks, and you can always use that. Now, after adding all this detail, I am adding a bit of more sand in the front, just to smoothen it up. And this is pretty much the final hardscape that I am going with. After this, I have to go with the plant choice. So I did choose plants beforehand when the competition organizers asked us to choose plants. So I did choose Monte Carlo, some ferns, Anobis, and you can see here I'm adding few Anobis, some ferns, and Monte Carlo. So here I am adding a few bunches of Monte Carlo, which again enlarge in size in the front, and their size will reduce as we go back. So the moss is also provided to us, but it's not that big in a quantity. So what I decided that I will use the moss on the trunk part of the tree. So you can see there is moss that is glued. Again, you can use Jag Aquatics glue to glue all these moss or some small plants. And once all these rhizomes or moss is attached, I do want to fill up the tank with water, and then stem plants I want to plant while tank is filled with the water, because that way I can see how the stem plants look like. And I know the water will get dusty, but the main photographs will happen tomorrow, so tank will have time to clear up. So planting is pretty much done, and I have added few pieces of driftwood also. Now I will start filling the water slowly, and then what you will see next is that how the tank looks after filling the water. So obviously it's not super clear, it's a bit cloudy, and actually it will even turn worse while I am planting, because I will be adding some stem plants at the back. And not only that, I do discover that stem plants height is really less, so I actually add more master soil straight into the water. Now master soil is pretty clean, and that's why it doesn't make tank too dusty, but it still will make it a little dusty. So at the end, what you will see is the tank is quite dusty, but I'm very hopeful on that day that next day tank will clear up, and that's why I keep adding plants while while the water was in. Alright guys, planting is pretty much done, and like you can see here, the water is really cloudy, and that's what happens in comps. This is how the tanks looks, and there are a few other guys, their tank looks same. So there are two ways now to do that. Either I take the water out half or more and then flood the tank again, or what I'm thinking is leave it overnight and hope that next day everything clears up. I know we have a sponsor here, Dimex, and they have some clear powder. So every tank, in every tank, the organizer decided we will add that powder, and it was really cool because what you're gonna see next is that how the tank looks like next day. So right now, what you can see here is that I'm giving the final touch-ups and making sure that the lights, filters, everything is running. So I did had a filter problem, but everything was sorted, and what you will see next is the final result. So this is the final result next day after we added those clearing powder and let the filter run for overnight. And I am really happy how the tank looks on the judging day, and the final shots were taken on the second day, and I'm pretty happy how it turned out, even though I was a bit worried about the cloudy water. So I really hope that this video was helpful for all of you guys to see how I built this tank. And I will do a separate video for the ceremony, and really big thanks to everyone for watching this video. Take care and bye for now.